Welcome to MagicGatheringStrat. I'm Dan, and I'm about to review Magic 2014 for Limited. This is the fourth set. Sorry, the fourth part of this review. And I'm going to do something different. I'm going to bring online Chris Weaver. 2, 1. Hi, Chris.
How's it going, Dan?
It's going well. I have some M14 cards here I wanted to discuss with you.
Oh, M14. I heard you're a big core set player.
Yeah, and here you're a big RTR Block player.
Yeah. I've sort of abandoned ship on RTR Block. I've spent enough tickets on it. I had a lot of fun, but I think its usefulness has done to me. I've learned a lot and become better at Magic by playing RTR Block, I think. So hopefully I can provide some limited insight in these spoilers.
I think between the two of us we actually have some credit to do a review like this, so I'm glad to have you on.
Alright, let's get started.
Yeah, what do you think of Chandra Pyromancer? Pyromaster, even.
Pyromaster Chandra. Well, I'm pretty excited to see a decent Chandra. She's pretty darn good, I think. She's her +1 is can instantly remove a creature, just straight kill it. But it can also make that creature not block, which is pretty important in red-based aggro decks. So I mean, I'm first picking her for sure. Her 0 ability is also just straight up card advantage. So you get to exile the top card of the library. So even if it's just a land, you get to play it for free. So her 0 ability is card advantage at its best. Obviously, we don't play Planeswalkers for their ultimate, but her ultimate looks pretty sweet too.
Yeah, that's just gravy. I was thinking that her base is like Staff of Nin, but she's not actually Staff of Nin, because if you can't play the card that you draw, then but of course you will be able to play it most of the time, and then just keep the card you draw naturally in your hand.
Yeah, and like I said, even if her 0 only gets you a land, I mean it's a free card, so it's straight up card advantage, and she's gonna draw away attackers, and you can just play her and swing through +1 for an alpha strike. So I think she's pretty good. Definitely first pick material. Definitely not as good as Jace, but I think she's a very solid pick. So definitely a first pick.
She looks better than old Chandra, but not by a lot. But she was a first pick too, so I think she will. Some of the time, like old Chandra, she will fail to defend herself.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, if you're playing a red-based deck, then typically you're going to be playing a more aggressive deck, right? There's not very many defensive red-based decks in
Blue-red,
right?
Blue-red.
Blue-red? She's even fine in blue-red, though. I mean,
yes.
Card advantage Planeswalker. If you got a couple of walls out, the walls will protect her, or she can even just ping something to kill a 1 toughness guy.
Yeah, I think she's just pretty much insane. And you'll be happy for her. Let's move on to Kalonian Hydra. Is this the bomb you mentioned?
This is the bomb I mentioned. Let's look at this dude. He's gonna enter as a 4/4. When he attacks, he's automatically an 8/8. So he's one of those guys. He's kind of like a Progenitor Mimic or like Pack Rat. It's like, do you have an answer now? Because if you don't, he's just gonna run over you.
Yes, it's like the Hydra in M13, but this one is a lot better. It has trample naturally, and it starts out pretty much safe from a lot of removal already.
Yeah, this guy is just an insane bomb. He's as limited resources as Marshall says. This is the kind of guy who asks a question, and the question is, do you have an answer right now?
Yes.
Yeah, so definitely first pick material.
And I found that the M13 Hydra was actually answerable in draft often. He wasn't even a first pick. But
the M13 Hydra, he didn't have trample, right?
He had trample if he was a 10 power or bigger.
Yeah. So I mean, if you get him up to 10/10, then he has trample, and you can't really beat him. But you can chump block him until then.
Who else has +1/+1 counters?
I don't know that I've noticed a whole lot. There's a Advocate of the Beast that it's a green card. he lets you put a +1/+1 counter on a beast during your end step. Let's see if we can find something here. +1/+1. All right. So if you combine that with the Johnny, you can do that.
Yeah.
You have Archangel of Thune, the white angel bomb.
Okay, it's a mythic combos.
Yeah, not really realistic, of course. I guess if you combine it with Singer Vampire.
He never gets any counters.
Yeah. Hunt the Weak, although that Hunt the Weak is not playable, I don't think. Primeval Bounty, once again combining mythic with mythic. Savage Summoning, Scavenger Ooze.
I think you're going to play Hunt the Weak, but that's another subject.
Okay.
But it's what green needs here.
Yeah, Scavenging Ooze is another one. Well, combining
Sweet.
rare with mythic rare, and Vastwood Hydra.
Yeah.
And that's all I see here.
Do you think the Hydra is constructed playable?
I don't know.
Sweet in a Simic deck.
Yeah, he'd be like sweet in the Simic deck, but Simic deck hasn't done anything, right? And the Hydra, we're going to be losing Cavern of Souls shortly after Kalonian Hydra is unplayable. So this guy is just a counter spell on sight, and the red decks have like Nizium Mortgage to deal with him, Dreadbore, So he's just a generic bomb, and he doesn't do anything when he enters. So you have to wait. You have to untap with him to make him effective. So a lot of decks are going to have a lot of answers for him, and I don't know that he's constructed playable because of that.
All right. What about the Elite Arcanist?
I don't know where this guy fits. He seems like he'd be okay in a very instant sorcery heavy control deck, but even then he's just he dies to a small breeze.
Yeah.
A lot of the black removal spell -3/-1 will kill him, and you almost have to set yourself up for a pretty bad 2-for-1 for a not very impressive body.
Yes.
If you untap with him, it's pretty good, but even then, it's not really like amazing. You just get to copy the spell that you exiled maybe one turn before he's dealt with, and then obviously if the game goes long, then he's going to provide you with a lot of card advantage. But a lot of cards will do that. I'm not going to first pick this guy for sure. Just the body's just too feeble for me.
There used to be a guy in core set that was a 4-mana 1/1 that had tap to draw a card. And he was pretty good. But I think this is a trap. It's super conditional. And you might be running like 9 instant sorceries if you really focus on it. That was doable some of the time in 13. But it's asking way too much of you.
Yeah. And you're begging yourself to be 2-for-1 whenever you play this guy. I'd much rather just have the shock in my hand and shock my opponent's creature than exile it with this guy and copy it every turn.
Let's start rating stuff. Where do you rate this guy?
7th to 9th pick maybe. Like he's only really good in the decks that you really want him in, and I don't even think he's really that good then.
I would be as harsh to say that this guy is a sideboard card in the decks that really want him, because you will, if you are the blue-red instant sorcery deck and you're playing against a deck with very little removal, such as a white-green deck, then this guy is awesome.
Alright, well, sideboard card sounds fair to me.
So maybe 9th to 11th or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It's probably better than the next one. Stonic Resonator.
I don't even know what this card does.
What the hell?
Is there anything in the core set that even has triggered abilities yet?
A triggered ability is something that requires something else to happen.
Yeah.
And it's not an activated ability, it's... What?
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, this is just not playable. I'm just gonna pass this card.
We must be missing something here, because this must have some sort of purpose.
I mean, I'm sure there are triggered abilities, like, once again, like the Advocate of the Beast, you may put a +1/+1 counter on a beast you control during your end step.
And then you can put 2 counters! Whoa.
Yeah, that's really just not that good. So, I'm not main decking this card for sure, and It's not even like a build around me artifact. It's just bad.
It must be a constructed card. That's the typical limited excuse for not having to think about the card. This card is for constructed. Let's 15th pick it.
Yeah, that's my initial impression. I mean, maybe if I get a bunch of like sweet sweet triggered ability cards in my deck, I might consider running it as a 23rd card, but probably not even then.
I think you're gonna need at least 5 to benefit from this.
Yeah, and even then, you're just asking for, this card isn't even worth a card. That's my opinion.
Yeah. At some point it is, but you have to have a lot of. I'd say 5, maybe 6 even.
Yeah, I'd be.
And then you have to trigger the abilities as well. That's no. Let's ignore this.
No. Card is just not playable. We're just gonna skip over it.
Yeah. What about Pyromancer's Gauntlet?
All right, so Pyromancer's Gauntlet. I'm not first picking this card for sure, but if I have a red deck with a lot of burn spells and Chandra or something like that, I can see playing this card. Even still, 5 mana is an awful lot for this effect. So yeah, maybe red decks that are playing this card, lots of shocks want this, but I don't really see that happening.
It's a much better version of Pyromancer's Swath that's in Modern Masters. But Pyromancer's Swath has a home in Modern Masters.
Yeah, and Pyromancer Swath was a lot cheaper too, right?
Yeah.
Pyromancer Swath was like 3 mana or 4 mana?
Yes, 3.
Okay. And it also, you also had Grape Shot in Modern Masters, so...
Yeah, you have a pre-built Storm deck in the format.
Yeah.
But what do you do with this?
I don't even know where to rate this. Like, I guess if you draft the deck that wants this, it's an okay card. It might be worth a card in your deck. But even still, if you don't have the burn spells in hand, if you're saving the burn spells till you have a Pyromancer's Gauntlet out, aren't you just losing value on your burn spells?
And it's 5 mana, so you will probably cast a couple of burn spells before you cast this.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think this card's very good. We're gonna probably rate it somewhere underneath of 10th pick.
Yes, I agree. 13th to 15th, pretty much.
But I mean,
in theory, there could be a deck.
If I grab a Chandra first pick, though, I'm definitely just slamming this thing down. Because if you grab a Chandra first pick, her +1 becomes a punish the enemy every turn, which is sick.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a win more card here as well.
Yeah. All
right. Because when Chandra is out, and if this was like a normal creature, you would probably be winning anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, win more.
Let's.
Be fun as hell.
Yeah, Manaweft. What does that mean? You are the native English speaker.
Manaweft is not a word.
Okay.
Weft is not a word, so I don't know what Manaweft is. So, all right, Manaweft Sliver. So this is a guy that's going to enable the 5-color Sliver deck.
But are there slivers in 5 colors?
I think
there are now. Yeah, I saw a blue one.
Yeah, there's a blue one that goes flying now. We'll discuss that in a little bit.
And this sliver has already it's a reprint, except that it's changed, right? There is a sliver like this, Gemhide, I think.
Is it Gemhide? Yeah, I think it's Gemhide. But doesn't Gemhide require 1 mana and tap the sliver, or am I thinking wrong?
No, it's exactly the same.
Okay.
Except that it grants it to all slivers.
Okay. Yeah, so this guy's gonna enable the sliver deck, basically, the 5-color sliver deck. So I think if I'm forcing slivers, I'm definitely like picking this guy very highly, like 3rd to 4th, or 3rd to 5th, I'd say. Maybe even 2nd to 4th, I'd say, because like this guy's he fixes your mana. He is a sliver himself, and he's gonna enable acceleration for accelerating into your bigger slivers, like the +3 the collective blessing sliver. So like, yeah, this guy does everything I want the slivers deck to do.
Yeah, he has a high rating in Time Spiral Limited as well. Gemhide Sliver has.
Yeah, so it's definitely picking this guy very highly, especially if I first picked a sliver. and I want to go this route. So he's like, I say third to fifth because I'm not going to first pick him, or probably not even going to second pick him. But if I see him third or fourth or even fifth picks, then I'm definitely taking him up and just going with slivers.
Yeah, I agree. Nightmare. I hear you have a memory of Nightmare.
I do. Oh man, it was I think it was fourth or fifth edition, and the very first booster pack that I ever bought contained a Nightmare, and I thought this card was just amazing. I was like, wow, this card is so good. I was like, he's a flying 6/6 the second he comes into play. It's like, oh man, I love this guy.
Yeah, I had a similar first impression of him.
Yeah, I built so many decks around Nightmare that until I learned that it actually wasn't that good. But I think it's probably pretty good in limited.
It is. I played it in limited, and they seem to be building a mono black deck here.
Oh yeah, they're definitely pushing the mono black, and I think that's on the basis that Liliana of the Dark Realms got reprinted. You know, as far as Lilianas go, I think Liliana of the Dark Realms is probably everyone's least favorite Liliana.
For sure.
So I think they're trying to maybe push her a little bit more. You know, since we're gonna have her again, shocks are still gonna be in standard for another year, so they're definitely pushing mono black, I think. And Nightmare is one of the results of this.
My experience is that if you're playing like blue black and you're 10/7 Swarm Silence, then this is a really good card as well.
Yeah, this is if you're pushing mono black, if you happen to draft the nut mono black deck, this guy is just amazing. And even if you're not drafting mono black, even if you're drafting like black red or black blue, like you said, or even black green, this guy is a flying 3/3 or 4/4 for 6, which is fine. It's very good in limited, and it's gonna get instantly bigger every time you play a swamp. So yeah, I think this guy's first pick material.
Definitely. If I see him in the first pack, I'm gonna first pick him, and then I'm gonna look for corrupts so much.
Yeah. So yeah, he's first picker and first pick material for sure.
Yeah. So let's move on to this very, very strange card, Dark Prophecy.
Yeah, all right, Dark Prophecy. I don't really know where to rate this, so maybe you can provide a little bit more insight. I think it requires too much work to do what you want it to do.
I can't think of only limited when I see this card. I sure hope they have tested this card thoroughly, and they tend to do that nowadays. But this is way too close to Necropotence for comfort.
It's definitely not as powerful as Necropotence, but
I could see. First, I have to stress for the viewer that I was there in the Black Summer of '96. I got ranked 13 in the world based on Necropotence. My friend in Power T invented a Necro deck that got 3rd and 5th place on the first Pro Tour. Leon Lindbeck was one of the players in our group. We broke Necropotence before everybody did, and this is pretty close. I think if you have, especially before Installment Block rotates out, when if you can sacrifice stuff with Undying, looks nice.
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot of ways to abuse this. And the cards do not come into your hand at the end of your turn like Necropotence did. So I see this card generating some hullabaloo in Constructed. But let's think about it from a limited perspective.
Alright, so from a limited perspective, it turns all your creatures into like Rune Wings.
Yes.
It's a pretty good effect.
The mana cost is horrible, of course, but
yeah, and that's definitely like one of the bigger drawbacks for limited play for this kind of card. But I think I'm probably still taking it. It looks pretty fun to play regardless. But from a competitive point, I think it does ask a bit too much of you, and its mana cost is probably just a bit too restrictive to consider seriously, unless of course you draft the mono black control deck.
I would definitely handle this as Nightmare. If I see this first pack, I'm gonna first pick it and try to go mono black.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like first or third pick, I'd say.
If you are a two-color even distribute, say you're a 9/9 green-black deck, where do you put this when you are doing your mana curve? Because it's not in the 3-drop slot.
I'm probably putting it in the 5-drop slot.
Yeah, sounds
I think that's
reasonable.
probably the most reasonable time you're going to cast it is on turn 5. And you know, if you do that, you turn all your dudes into Rune Wings, and that's a pretty good effect, right? Rune Wing is typically a 2-for-1 in RTR Block, so that's okay. I mean, it's a fine card. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. So it might be a good first pick, and if it's not first pick, first pack, then it's probably 3rd to 5th.
Yeah. That seems like a fair rating.
Yeah, but it will be interesting to see how this plays out in Limited. Because it might just be insane.
Yeah. Alright.
This is an easier one. Banisher Priest.
Alright, so I'm picking this guy pretty highly, I think. He's a removal on a stick, 2-for-1.
Was the guy in Innistrad, did he have double white in his casting cost?
He did. Yeah. Fiend Hunter was he had double white in his mana cost, and he was a 1/3.
Did you play Innistrad Limited?
I played a little bit, but that's back when I came back to Magic initially. I played Innistrad, Dark Ascension. I skipped Avacyn Restored, and then I went to RTR Block.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah. But I mean, Fiend Hunter was a 2-for-1. The only problem I have with the Banisher Priest here is the 2 toughness, and I've talked to you a little bit about this before. I think 2 is the golden number in this format.
And the 4 creatures we see in front of us clearly proves your point.
Yeah. So I think 2 is the golden number, and that means that this guy's gonna get shocked, and you lose the 2-for-1 there. But it still forced them to use a shock on a dude, and got the shock out of their hands. So even then, he was still just a 1-for-1, which is fine. So I like this guy. He's not like first picker, but he's probably like a 3rd to 5th.
Was Fiend Hunter first pick?
I don't know.
I think he was actually a 1st to 3rd pick. The original guy with this effect in Odyssey Block, he was definitely first pick. He was a 2/3 black guy for 4 mana.
Well, I could be rating this guy entirely wrong then.
No, I think you're pretty close. I think you are right about the 2 toughness, and I think this is not the first pick, but I would like 2nd to 4th pick him.
Yeah. So I think the Fiend Hunter blocked a fair amount of things in Innistrad Block. You know, like a lot of the zombies were 2/2s, and
yeah,
humans were all tiny. But this guy, when he blocks anything, he's probably just gonna die, and then they get their creature back. But it's a pretty big tempo play to do this, so I think this card is still pretty good.
For sure, and also when you string them, they become insane. Because when play the 3rd turn Banisher Priest, 4th turn Banisher Priest.
Yeah, that's just a beating. That's the dream right there. So, all right, yeah. I mean, I think we're okay. Probably rating this like either 2nd to 4th or 3rd to 5th.
Yeah, I agree. So let's look at this guy.
All right, so I like this guy a lot. He's a 1 white for a 2/2 first strike lifelink. That's pretty darn good on its own.
Yes.
And then you add to the fact that he can't be the target of black or red spells your opponents control, which is just icing on the cake, man. This guy is just really good and definitely a first pick card.
If it was protection, he would be fantastic. But what are we saying here? He has first strike lifelink. They can't get him with removal, but he can be blocked by anything with 3.
Yeah, but there's not. So far, we haven't seen a whole lot of 3 toughness things.
That's true.
And this guy is a prime target in like the white green deck, where you can pump him and pump him with like a Trollhide or a Giant Growth.
Yeah.
And he just eats everything, and he's also going to be gaining you lots of life every turn.
Yes.
And they're gonna have real trouble removing him, because you can't remove him unless you're playing blue, and then you can unsummon him, but that's really about all you can do to get him off the battlefield. So this guy's definitely a first pick material, And
I think the way he will most often die is by being hunted as he's weak.
yeah, that's pretty possible.
I think his first pick material too. You made a convincing case.
Yeah. So let's move on then. What do we got next?
The next Grey Ogre. Xathrid Necromancer.
Alright, I'm having trouble reading this guy. He's another one of those cards that it's going to require some work.
There was a guy in Onslaught just like him. A zombie. He had this exact effect.
How was he rated in Onslaught?
Can't remember, because I can't remember the name.
Ah.
I think it is fairly high, because his minimum here is that you get two 2/2s.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's probably... I'd say he's a first pick. I mean, he's probably always a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
And then you can also... The upside on him is pretty darn big. If you're drafting, like, black-white humans, assuming that's an archetype, which it looks like it probably is going to be, then this guy's pretty darn good. He just gets to... You know, all your creatures get to 2-for-1 your opponents, and you get a never-ending horde of zombies, so... I like this guy. I'm probably going to first pick him.
I wonder about the enter the battlefield tapped clause, because I don't think that was there in Onslaught.
That seems to be like a typical thing for zombies. Either they can't block or they enter the battlefield tapped.
Yeah.
You look at Trollhide Messenger, Diregraph Ghoul,
True.
Grave Crawler, so I think it's a typical thing because zombies aren't very good at defending the fort, so...
But I could see this guy being totally irrelevant against some decks.
Yeah.
Because he only works against guys on the ground.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's pretty good, I think. First pick material for sure. Yeah, he's not going to be very good against the flyer decks, or decks can just trample over him or whatever. But I still think he's a very worthy card, and I'm playing him for sure if I grab him.
Yeah, that's for sure. Just thinking about the rating, I think he's better in this set than he would have been in 13, because Exalted is not there, and we haven't seen Tormented Soul or any reason to play Tormented Soul yet.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at it, there's a lot of humans here, so you're pretty much always going to get value off of this guy.
Yeah,
so
and once you get 2 zombies out of him, he's insane.
Yeah. So we're definitely just... I think we're first picking him.
But on the other hand, like, a Centaur Courser ruins his day.
Yeah. Centaur Courser does ruin his day, but I don't think we've spoiled a Centaur Courser yet, have we?
It's in there, or something like it. But okay. It's not. It isn't spoiled yet, but we still have 50 cards to go.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be some kind of a Centaur.
73 cards to go, even.
Yeah, well, I think I'm still first picking him.
Okay, we are first to start picking him. And, yeah, let's see if he works. It looks promising.
Yeah.
So what do you think about all the slivers having lifelink? Azorius Charm every turn.
I'm not impressed by it, personally. I think as far as slivers go, this guy is just not the best. Maybe he can swing games, but you keep on using the term Grey Ogre, which is what I'm basically viewing this guy as. He's a 2/2 for 3 with lifelink, and he may give all your slivers lifelink, but lifelink isn't always relevant. I think board position's much more relevant, and the abilities you're going to get from the other slivers is going to be much higher. So I'm not first picking this guy for sure, but if he comes around to me like 4th to 6th pick, I might take him.
What other slivers are there in black?
I don't think there's any yet.
So that is them spoiling. I thought the slivers deck was surely green, red, white, but here is a blue sliver and a black sliver.
Yeah, looking up the black slivers. No, there's no other black slivers.
Interesting. Yeah, one important thing to remember about lifelink is that it doesn't affect the board, and you always think that, oh, it will help you win in a race, but a pure race doesn't happen very often in Limited.
Yeah, and I don't think the Slivers deck is racing any other deck, right? If Slivers deck is building up a board position and then just overwhelming them with huge slivers that they can't profitably block. So I don't think the Slivers deck is ever really racing.
It's probably racing the blue-white flyers deck.
Okay, that could be true. All right, well that's a valid point, but I'm still not gonna first take this guy. Plus, so far you've mentioned that the Slivers deck is gonna be primarily red, green, white. So this guy's gonna be a splash. So, and it may not be worth messing up your mana to splash this guy. I don't think he's really just worth. I don't think he's worth a splash.
He needs more black slivers to make the deck. What about the 2/2 lifelink guy for 3 mana?
The Fiend Hunter Paladin?
No. What about if you only have this guy? If you're not slivers, if you're just a black deck.
He's okay. 2/2 lifelink he's still a gray ogre. If you're just a black deck and you're running this dude, then he's just a gray ogre.
Is he the 23rd card?
Yeah, he could be a 23rd card.
So that's something like 7th and 9th pick for this guy.
Okay.
And maybe higher if you are already slivers and you have a couple of the Manaweft Slivers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, probably 7th and 9th is okay.
Alright, fair enough. What about this guy? Riding the Gales.
Galerider Sliver. That's a card I'm willing to splash. We've already seen that Maze Glider is pretty darn good and limited in RTR Block draft, and this guy is a much cheaper Maze Glider for all your slivers. So this guy is pretty darn good.
With the risk of sounding like a dinosaur, I'm thinking about Levitation, the enchantment, and that was a 3rd to 5th pick in core set draft. And this is Levitation, it's cheaper, and it has a body attached to it.
Yeah.
So it looks pretty good.
Yeah, this guy's pretty good. I'm probably first picking this guy for sure and just going slivers all out. But even if you don't have the slivers deck, he's still going to be pretty good in like a blue-green deck with a couple slivers. And yeah, this guy's he's okay no matter when you cast him, right? You don't have to cast him on turn 1, so he's a very splashable card. And this is what the slivers deck really wants. I think this is going to be one of the key cards for the slivers deck to grab.
He is rare, and that makes me think that okay, they discovered that the sliver deck shouldn't have flying every game because that was too good.
Yeah.
But then Siphon Sliver is also rare, which is strange.
I don't know why they made that guy rare. He should have been an uncommon, I think, for Siphon Sliver.
Yeah. So the first blue and black slivers spoiled are rares. That's a bit strange.
Yeah, and I think that goes once again with what you're saying. Sliver's probably primarily going to be red, green, white.
Yeah.
If you manage to be able to splash one of these 2 slivers, it's pretty good. It's okay. You know, I'm less sold on the Siphon Sliver, but the Galerider Sliver I'm definitely sold on.
Yeah. What about the next card?
Alright, Trollhide. So I like this card a lot. You still open yourself up for 2 for 1 like you do with any enchantment, but if you can actually stick the Trollhide, then you're no longer opening yourself up for a 2 for 1 because you can just regenerate the creature to no end.
Yeah, cast it at the right moment.
Yeah, cast it when your opponent's tapped out, or just at the right moment whenever you don't think they have any way to deal with it in their hands. And so this, as far as enchantments go, this is a pretty solid enchantment.
Yeah, I was trying to Google it because I seem to remember this was a key card for green in 2012 limited, which I only played a couple of sealed decks in. But I think this was quite a high pick.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably 2nd to 4th for me. I kind of view it the same way as like Moldavine Cloak and Modern Masters.
Yeah, I'd much rather have a Moldavine Cloak, but 2nd to 4th or 3rd to 5th seems reasonable for this and for Chief's Embrace. Even though that is 1 mana more expensive.
Yeah, the Chief's Embrace is 1 mana more expensive, and it's also double colored mana, so you can't splash the Chief's Embrace. You can splash the Trollhide though. The Trollhide's worth splashing.
Yes.
But Shiv's Embrace is not splashable, but it's a pretty darn good card on its own.
The ability is pretty bad to splash as well there.
Yeah.
So maybe we should rate Chief's Embrace a bit lower then. Maybe 4th to 6th pick.
I mean, yeah, I'd say Trollhide's probably like either 2nd to 4th or 3rd to 5th, and Shiv's Embrace is probably like a 4th to 6th.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Naturalize is Naturalize. We don't need to dwell on that.
Yep.
What do you think of Clone in Limited?
I don't know where to rate Clone in Limited. I'm gonna default to you. He's gonna be the best. He's gonna be the best creature on the battlefield when you cast him.
Yeah, that's the point pretty much, because in Limited you will always have a nice target, and yeah, if there is a bomb, this guy is a bomb. So I wonder how the new Legend rule actually plays out in Limited.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get the new Legend rule this time, huh? I don't know.
I wonder if you're better off. You're probably better off just having Clone as removal against Legends than having a copy of the same Legend with the other player already having that thing in play.
Yeah, but the new Legend rules means that the clone, if you clone a Legend, then neither Legend's gonna die, right?
It means the new Legend rule means that the other player's Legend do not die, and you both can have the Legend.
All right, well.
It's so weird, but that's the way it works.
Yep. So, is Clone a first pick?
It's close to one. I think it has been a first pick in some core sets and a 2nd to 4th pick in others. But yeah, it's a high pick. I was finding myself not first picking Clone a lot in 2013 actually.
Isn't that just because you like specific archetypes, though?
Yes.
Or
it was because blue was inferior. Blue was the worst color in 13. And a lot of the things that made blue the worst color is not here yet. And I think them taking away Prey Upon and replacing it with Hunt for the Weak, which I think is what they have done, is the key to improving blue compared to 2013. So I think Clone will be a first pick here.
Alright. So first pick material for Clone, because yeah, he's always just the best creature on the battlefield when you cast him. So
yes,
I think first picking him is fine.
When I first looked at this page, I was thinking, oh, Experiment 1 is in 2014, but he isn't.
No.
Darksteel Forges! Now your Millstone can be indestructible.
Am I ever playing Darksteel Forge? I don't think so.
No way.
This is purely a constructed card, and I don't even know where it fits in constructed, so we're just going to ignore that for now. It's the 15th pick, I think.
Yes.
The next card, though, is not a 15th pick. Millstone.
It is inevitability in its worst form.
Yeah. So, one of the decks that I first built when I first started playing Magic was the Millstone Grindstone deck. And I had a lot of fun with that, just counterspell everything my opponents do and kill all their creatures with like Doom Blades, or well, I guess back then it was Terror, or Diabolic Edict, and just mill them out with Millstones and Grindstones. So I like this card a lot. I don't know where it fits in the picking order, but yeah, it's inevitability. But the problem I have with it is it doesn't affect the board at all, and you can mill your opponent. You can mill your opponent down to 3 cards left in their library, but if they kill you, then, well, that Millstone is probably better off being a 2/2 for 2.
Yes. It compares a lot to 2 cards in 2013. The infamous Sands of Delirium that I still think is almost a bomb in 2013. But Sands of Delirium is a much more powerful card than this one.
Yeah, Sands of Delirium you could actually, mill for all your excess mana every turn.
Yes.
So, if you're in a top deck war and you top deck Sands of Delirium with 7 lands on board, then you put your opponent on a 2-turn clock.
And actually it's 3 cards in 2013. Of course, it reminds me of Mind Sculpt as well, and Mind Sculpt was a 15th pick. That was almost unplayable in the decks that milled people.
really? I didn't know that. I figured you could draft a Mind Sculpt deck in M13.
You could, yeah, you could, and it became really good, but you needed 5 Mind Sculpts, and you could replace them with Archaeomancers. So some people had 3 Mind Sculpts, 2 Archaeomancers, and then it worked.
Alright.
But even if you had 4, it wasn't really good enough, unless you had a sweet deck that could defend you otherwise. But this card is much better than Mind Sculpt.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that there's another card in the set that works pretty well with Millstone, actually, and that's Time Ebb. I believe that was spoiled.
Yes, it's the one that puts a card back on top of the library, right?
Yes.
So you are building like the machine that gets rid of a bomb with these 2 cards.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty good.
It is, but Time Ebb is already a good card that you are probably playing in every deck.
Yeah, so I think Millstone probably fits in the blue-based control decks.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I don't think you can use it like some decks use Sands of Delirium to counter the control decks. It's actually, when the control deck achieved control, the other deck still had Sands of Delirium and won by that. But I don't think you can use Millstone that way. You have to have Millstone in the control deck.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of the 3rd card in 13, which is the Entrancer. The 1/4 guy for 4 that Millstone for 1 blue. And he was not the best. He was playable, but he was often his body was not enough. And
a 1/4 body wasn't enough? A Horn Turtle wasn't enough?
Yeah, because it cost 4. So by the time he came out, a Roaring Primadox or a Centaur Courser with some sort of boost and some just went through him. But he did work. He was like a 5th to 7th or 6th to 8th pick in 13. And this is pretty much that guy without the body.
Yeah, and I think not having the body is a pretty big disadvantage for Millstone, so I'm probably going to rate him at about the same, because Millstone is a little bit cheaper, and you can just get wins off of Millstone. So
I'm thinking that this is actually just a win more card. If the control deck achieves a Millstone victory, it would probably have won anyway. So it's the worst finisher that the control deck can want.
Alright.
But it might be a 23rd card.
Yeah, but I mean, I think if you're playing the Millstone, then you're probably going to want to build around it.
Yeah, but why not just have another blocker instead?
Yeah.
That can actually help you achieve control.
So maybe this is a sideboard card against control on control.
That's it! That's what it is.
Right.
So I think it could be a 23rd card, or it's definitely a sideboard card.
Alright, so we'll just rate it as a sideboard card for now.
So 7th to 9th, perhaps?
Yeah.
And that's where Duress ends up as well, as that is also a sideboard card.
Yeah.
And
I have to agree with you there.
I often sideboarded in Duress actually in 13 to good effect. It was often like Magma Quakes and Mutilates and stuff, then you were pretty happy to have Duress in the board.
Yeah. Duress is always a good card, and you're pretty much always going to get a 1/1 for it, so...
And definitely not. If you sideboard it in, you are maybe 60 to 70% likely to get a 1/1, but that 1/1 will be so sweet that you want it.
Okay.
But you often miss with it, and you definitely should never main deck it, because it is a miss very often if you main deck it.
Okay. Sounds fair to me.
Let's rate Garruk and Ratchet Bomb as last, as I am pretty sure Colossal Whale was spoiled long before this, so it's already spoiled. It's already rated. But I'm not sure about if you actually rated Garruk and Ratchet Bomb last time.
Alright, well, Garruk is pretty good. I think he's definitely a first pick material. He's gonna provide you with card advantage the second he comes into play. He's not gonna do a very good job at defending himself, but I think the green deck's already got that down pretty handily. So I don't think Garruk needs to defend himself too much. I'm first picking him for sure.
I'm not as sure actually, because we're looking at the guy that comes down on turn 7 or 8. Pretty much best case, almost. He's never coming down on turn 6. Or some of the time he is, but often he's coming down on turn 7 or 8. Or even 9.
Okay.
And then he does nothing. Unless you have a creature that is even more expensive than he is.
Alright, so what about this scenario? Let's say you have a Garruk chilling in your hand for a little while, and you're curving out, you're playing creatures and whatnot, and then you play Garruk, and you have this another green creature in your hand. You can just -3, put that green creature on the battlefield, and you got that creature for, you play that creature for 6.
Let's look at him at in the 4 stages of limited then.
Alright.
If you cast him on time, as soon as you can, how good is he then? That's pretty much the situation you described there.
Yep. I think he's one of those cards that if you untap with him, then you pretty much win the game.
But you don't. You win the game at least 2 turns later.
Okay.
Put all creatures card realistically into your hand. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So, I mean, you +1 him, and you're looking at 5 cards out of your library. There's a pretty good chance you're going to get a creature out of that.
Okay, so are you happy to find Garruk in your starting hand?
No, definitely not. I mean, I'm never happy to see a 6-drop in my starting hand, but...
Yeah.
He's definitely a curve popper.
So he's not a crazy bomb on time then, or when you draw him in your starting hand?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, let's assume you're winning. Then you're pretty sure that you are actually winning if you draw him right.
Yeah. So if you're winning, then he's gonna just bury your opponents in card advantage. You +1 him once, and even if you only get 2 creatures off of this +1, then you have advanced your hand and your board so far that there's no way they're coming back from it.
Okay, the Sliver's deck is going to kill you. You draw Garruk. Top deck him.
Probably lose.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's not that good if you're behind.
And if you're at parity, this is exactly the card you want, right?
Yes, definitely.
You still prefer Jace over him, but
I don't know actually.
you need 2 Jace activations to win the game at parity, so you do one and then you do another, then it's over.
All right. So Jace is definitely the bigger bomb. He's going to come down earlier, and but this guy he ranks pretty high as far as the Planeswalkers as a set go.
Definitely, I think he will be valuable as well, because I can see so many ways of abusing this in Constructed. His second ability. It's like, what the hell?
You know, turn 6 Garruk, and then -3 him put a World Spine Worm on this battlefield. 15/15 trample.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the Unburial Rites, right?
Yes. He will be sweet in Constructed, I think. But I could see him being... he's probably just the first or third pick. But I was thinking if I could make an argument that Liliana was as good as he is, but he's probably better.
Yeah, I think he's better. I mean, Liliana comes down much earlier.
And she kills stuff.
Yeah, she does kill stuff at the the cost of killing herself, but I hate Liliana.
Yeah, this guy is better.
I think this guy's much better than Liliana. And he's also better than Ajani. I'm not sure where he ranks compared to Chandra, but I think they're probably about equal power levels.
I think you are. Have you played with Ajani? He is quite strong in limited actually, because he's so early. Coming down as a 4 Planeswalker on turn 3 is quite nice.
No, I haven't played with Ajani. I played very limited M13.
Yeah. Because when Ajani comes down on turn 3, it's so hard to win for the other deck, especially if you can't like threaten to kill him immediately.
Yeah.
Then he just runs away with the game.
All right. Fair enough.
Last card for today then, Ratchet Bomb.
I think it was LSV who said the thing about Ratchet Bomb is that it's not a bomb, and you shouldn't view it that way.
Yeah.
Ratchet Bomb, it's okay. It can be a sweeper, but it's probably not. I think the best case scenario for when you're cracking Ratchet Bomb is probably on turn 4 to get rid of all the 2-drops. Is that right? Or turn 3? No, turn 4 to get rid of all the 2-drops.
2, 3, yeah. That's it.
I think that's probably the best case for Ratchet Bomb. So
It
maybe
sounds
it's
quite weak.
Yeah, that's pretty weak. I'm not first picking Ratchet Bomb. Just put it that way.
I think I remember that LSV comment, so I think we rated this, and I think we rated it at 5th to 7th, or somewhere around there.
Like it's always okay. You know, especially if you know like they have a bomb in their deck. Like let's say you know they have a Jace in their deck. You can play a Ratchet Bomb and tick it up to 5. That way, when they do slam the Jace, you could just crack the Ratchet Bomb and you're not just dead to Jace.
Yeah.
So it's an okay card. Probably not main. I mean, I might main deck it as a 23rd card, but it's not very exciting to me.
Do you even hesitate to main deck it?
Yeah. Not all decks are gonna want the Ratchet Bomb.
Yeah, it looks very, very slow.
It can be very, very slow, but I mean, when it's good, it's really good.
Yeah.
If you know you're facing off against a mono red deck or not a mono red deck, if you know you're facing off against like any red based creature deck or a deck with a lot of 2-drops, you can occasionally 2-for-1 your opponent with Ratchet Bomb.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
I'm thinking like in 2013, this would be. It would be better than a card I would hesitate to main deck. At least it would always get something, and some of the time it will be a 2-for-1. Of course, some of the time you will top deck it and you won't have time to use it.
Yeah. So like looking at the 4 stages of limited, it's okay to have in your starting hand. At parity, it doesn't really do much to disrupt the parity, right? You're gonna kill your own stuff as well.
Nah, at parity you will have time to make it exactly the size you want.
Yeah.
So you can do maximum damage.
So what if you have a bunch of 2-drops, and what if they have a bunch of 2-drops, and then
And then maybe they have a 4-drop and you can set it to 4. But I think you can always construct something at parity that serves you with a Ratchet Bomb.
So it's very good at parity.
It's not very good. It's like a tier 2 removal.
Okay. So it's a slow removal spell at parity.
Yeah.
And if you're ahead, you probably don't need it. It doesn't do much if you're ahead.
It does sort of provide you some protection if you... yeah, it doesn't do a lot, really. And if you're losing, you hate this.
Yeah, if you're losing and you need to draw this, you're just like, I gotta wait like 3 turns to make this useful. No thanks. So, yeah, I think 5th to 7th, or maybe even lower.
Maybe one lower,
7th,
6th to 8th, something like that.
6th to 8th? Okay, that sounds fair.
Yeah.
6th to 8th, I think it is.
Alright, we have 73 cards left to spoil, but we don't know what they are yet.
Nope, we don't.
Any expectations?
I'm hoping for some more decent red removal spells. Although we've already gotten a couple. We've gotten a few, I guess. Maybe I'm a little hopeful in my red based decks. I don't know.
I haven't seen a lot of removal for 1 toughness creatures yet. There were plenty of that in 13. But maybe they were anti-exalted.
Yeah. I don't know what to expect. This is the first core set that I've ever really paid attention to on all the spoilers. So...
Okay, call it now. Is Thoughtseize in this set or not?
I don't even know what Thoughtseize does.
It's the best Duress-like spell in the game, pretty much. So it's like super Duress.
Yeah, and it was not reprinted in Modern Masters, so I don't know. Mutavault was reprinted here, and it wasn't reprinted in Modern Masters, so I think Thoughtseize is viable. But if they do print it, it's gonna be a rare or higher.
Yeah, I expect it to be here as rare. And they're still spoiling rares and mythics, so I think it will be here.
All right. Well, here's to hoping, because that thing is worth like 20 tickets on Moto right now. So
Yeah, it's one of the big hurdles to building the damn Jam deck in Modern. It's so expensive.
Modern. I don't even know where to go with Modern. Like, this format is just crazy.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Chris, and let's do this again when we have more cards. The release is just 13 days away.
Yeah, you gonna go to a pre-release event?
Nah, I never do. And I will actually be in the north, in the villa, so it's like 90 kilometers to a pre-release. That's not too much for an American, of course.
90 kilometers. That's still 40 miles. I'm not driving 40 miles to a pre-release.
Okay, good.
I might go to this pre-release. I skipped the Dragon's Maze one. I did a Dragon's Maze draft with some friends, but I didn't do the pre-release Dragon's Maze event. Not in person anyway, but I did the Gatecraft one, and I won like 13 packs of Gatecraft, which I never ended up using, so...
Oh. If you go, feel free to write about it or even film from the event itself. Because one thing I would really like on the YouTube channel is like some live magic. Maybe just sort of the feeling of being there or something.
Yeah, I don't think I can do that.
Like with your phone or something.
That'd be kind of awkward.
Okay. Yeah, you don't have to.
I'll write about it, though. I'll write about it if I go.
All right, sweet. Talk to you later then.
All right.
Cheers.
Later.